Unwise to seek political advice from someone who gets paid $100 million a year to bounce a ball. Oh, and LeBron and Kevin, you're great players, but no one voted for you. Millions elected Trump to be their coach. So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
A central thesis of racial capitalism is that the subjugation of black people is necessary for the maintenance of global white supremacy and wealth. Reparations for black people are systematically denied because they would undo colonialism itself. Reparations pose a direct threat to this structure. The cultural and economic contributions of black people, from medicine to music, sports to intellectual labor, are extracted for profit while systemic barriers prevent collective advancement.
When I told my mama that I had cured my 13 AIDS patient, she said, "They're gonna get you."
This system offers spiritual pacification, like a weaponized version of religion, while physically exploiting our lands and labor. True reparations would transfer power and wealth, fundamentally upsetting the hierarchy that keeps white people at the top. Granting reparations would necessitate a dismantling of colonial power structures and a redistribution of wealth that global powers are unwilling to perform. Thus, reparations remain a perpetual political promise, never an actualized goal, as their fulfillment would end the system that makes them necessary. Reparations are not merely a payment, it's a formal acknowledgment of crimes against humanity and a transfer of wealth and power back to the people who were exploited to build that wealth. Colonialism and slavery were, at their core, economic systems designed to extract labor and resources for free to build wealth in Europe and for white settlers. The vast fortunes of many European nations, American institutions, and wealthy families are directly linked to this exploitation. Reparations would involve a meaningful transfer of that accumulated wealth back to the descendants of those who created it, potentially altering global economic power dynamics. True reparations would likely involve dismantling the ongoing systems that perpetuate this inequality, systems of neocolonialism, unfair trade practices, and debt imposed on African nations by international financial institutions often controlled by former colonial powers. Reparations would be a direct attack on the enduring economic legacy of colonialism. This concept, articulated by scholars like Cedric Robinson, argues that modern capitalism was not founded and then became racist, but was racist from the very beginning. It required the creation of a subhuman class, black slaves, colonized people, to justify their exploitation as cheap or free labor. This created a hierarchy where whiteness was associated with ownership and control, and blackness with subjugation and labor. Maintaining this hierarchy has indeed been essential to preserving the concentration of wealth and power. The political cycle of reparations. Reparations are only mentioned during political season, but never achieved willingly by Democrats or Republicans. They both benefit. For many politicians, supporting the idea of reparations is a way to signal to a key voting bloc that they understand historical grievances. However, turning that idea into law involves a monumental political battle against powerful interests like the NRA, who benefit from the status quo. There are legitimate and complex questions about how reparations would be implemented. Who qualifies? What form should it take? Cash payments, land, investments in education/housing? These complexities are often used as a reason to delay or avoid action altogether. There is significant political and public opposition, often fueled by a narrative that reparations are about punishing people today for the sins of the past, rather than rectifying an ongoing economic injury. Reparations are not a request for charity but a demand for justice that would require a fundamental restructuring of global power, which is why those in power resist it so fiercely. Reparations as capital injection. Holocaust reparations provided a significant infusion of capital, money, resources, to a specific group, Jewish survivors and the State of Israel. This capital was introduced into a global economic system that was already built on a foundation of white supremacy and racial hierarchy. To build security and wealth, recipients of that capital necessarily had to operate within the existing rules of that system. In the United States and elsewhere, that system has historically exploited black labor. The result of Jewish reparations. As a result of Jewish people receiving reparations, they became allies with the white race, also exploiting black labor by owning sports leagues and entertainment systems that are employed by predominantly black entertainers. The capital from reparations did not act as a monolith. Some of it undoubtedly went into systems that exploit labor. Other parts of it went to building hospitals, universities, and infrastructure, and funding Holocaust education, which teaches the dangers of the very racism and supremacist ideologies that also harm black communities. Black people will never receive reparations willingly. 40 acres and a mule. This was a field order, Special Field Orders No. 15, issued by Union General William T. Sherman in 1865, after the Civil War. It called for redistributing confiscated Confederate land to freed black families in 40-acre plots. The order was swiftly reversed by President Andrew Johnson after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. The land was taken back and returned to the former Confederate slave owners. This created a powerful symbol of the broken promise of reparations and economic justice for black Americans, which activists point to this day.